Okay, welcome to Just Chatting with Jay Chan again. Today we have with us TohVahKiin.
What's up?
Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Yeah. So my name is TohVahKiin, aka Samuel. I'm a lecturer, and I also do content creation on the side. But yeah, my full-time job is lecturing. Yeah, teaching, education, teaching at the polytechnic.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you teach?
What I teach game art. Yeah, something a lot of the young kids are really into. It's a very hip course. But this is something I'm also very passionate about. Actually, all my life, I've been very passionate as a creative. Growing up, starting from a very young age, I've been watching cartoons obviously non-stop lah. What else do you do as a kid, right? Besides watch, at that time, cable television and then go to the playground once in a while to play and then make friends, and then you come back, do your homework, and then you watch more TV. So that's how I got into this whole animation stuff. Also sort of by accident, I guess, but more on that later.
Yeah, sure. So what is lecturing like? You can give us some idea.
Ooh, it's a love-hate relationship, I should say. Some days you love it, some days you just absolutely hate it, man. Because you're dealing with people. And people, whenever you deal with people, and in this case you're dealing with young people, it's very unpredictable. But for the most part, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. In fact, I think having done lecturing for like 4 years, I would say for the most part it has been a learning journey, not just for the students but for myself. But I'm enjoying this journey that I'm on at the moment. And this is something I always like to tell my kids as well, right? You're not the only ones that are learning, but I am learning as well. So I think that's the fun part. You get to learn along the way, even though you're teaching. Yeah.
Like what kind of things do you learn along the way? Like how to teach or like how to scold people?
I guess that's part of it, right? But here's the thing about teaching nowadays. You can't exactly scold people, or you can't exactly scold the young kids. It's not like last time, the teacher will drag you out, then they'll cane, or not cane but they'll like scold you. Or I remember in secondary school, I had this math teacher that used to like to, you never do your correction, right? She'll take the book, then she'll throw out. Yeah, classroom. In this day and age, that's gonna get you reported to MOE, man. So yeah. so I think it's more of like classroom management, how to manage people, young people in general. I'm not saying managing them, but managing their expectations, learning how to communicate with them. In general, learning how to be their friend, but at the same time be professional about it. Yeah, because we always try to make learning fun, but at the same time, you don't want to make it too, what's the word for it? Too
monotonous, boring.
Monotonous, too informal.
All right.
Yeah, you don't make it too informal. And what I like about my current job is that because it's in the creative sector, we get to determine how we run our lessons. We get to determine what kind of content we teach the students. Of course, obviously within the confines of the curriculum. Yeah. But we get to add a little bit of fun to it. We get to show videos and stuff. Get to show interesting things that we have discovered about a certain subject on the internet, and we get to share to these students. Yeah, it's not like in the past where I don't know how true this is, but in the past where you have this fixed set of notes that you just have to deliver and that's it.
Oh.
Yeah. So in case you guys don't know, I'm teaching in a polytechnic, right? And there's a lot more freedom. That's what I like about teaching there. There's a lot more freedom in how you want to teach students. Yeah, when it comes to delivering the lesson. So that's what I find, the most fun about my job. Yeah.
Right.
Funny thing is, I would think that actually 10% of our job is actually preparing lessons. I think we mentioned this earlier in our conversation. Like 10% of my job is teaching. The other 90% really is just paperwork. But I find that 10% kind of makes up, sort of for like the 90% you have to go through. Because at the end of the day, you're doing everything for students. Yeah.
So when you say 10%, it means that 10% is like in the classroom, speaking to the kids, not kids, like to the students.
Teaching them, delivering lessons, preparing the lessons is only like 10%.
10%.
Right? So that shows how much paperwork your teachers and lecturers have to go through. Okay, saying that.
When we say paperwork, what kind of paperwork is that? It's because it's 90%.
A lot of things, just handling of grades and stuff, grading assignments, grading worksheets. We don't grade worksheets here anymore. Grading their work, consultation. Consultation is more of like lesson delivery, but because as lecturers, you also have to take on certain projects, and we also have to help run certain events. Because in every school and in every department, there are certain events that we have to run every year or at every within each semester lah. Like recently for my school, this one will kind of give away where I teach at. But recently we had a graduation show, so all lecturers were like hands on deck for that particular graduation show. Yeah, I was like heavily involved in it. So pretty much my entire holiday, because it was done during the poly holiday, pretty much my entire holiday was done preparing for it. But of course, I got the opportunity to travel overseas before that, rest up a bit, and then come back and get this done. So it's more of the running of events and securing internships for students, securing projects for students. What else can I talk about? Like on top of that,
those sounds very like time consuming already.
Yes.
Like preparing for an event can take at least 1 to 2 months to prepare for an event.
And remember, this is partial, like semi-government stat board agency, right? So there's a lot of red tape that you gotta go through. There's a lot of approval that you gotta go through. So that's why I say there's mostly paperwork involved.
Yeah.
So and again, don't forget, whenever we grade students,
So like when you first started lecturing, what was it like? Was it very tough? Was it very challenging? Like, were you like thrown into like a pool of students and like you were like?
Okay, so when I first started lecturing, I started working at ITE.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a pretty good RO, which stands for reporting officer, aka your boss, or my boss. I had pretty good like RO lah. So she really showed me the ropes of how to do certain things, and she made sure that I learned things step by step. Yeah, and in ITE, right, all lecturers have to go through this training program for 1 year. It's a pedagogy course lah, right? And there's actual assignments that we have to do for this course, so it's quite hardcore one, right?
Okay.
So usually in the first year teaching in ITE, or at least in the first semester, you are quite freed up, right? You just sit in to certain classes to observe, because you'll be very busy doing this pedagogy course. So I think my entry into lecturing, right, was pretty chill. It only just started to pick up like when I started doing it for real, like
started teaching.
On-the-job training. Yeah. When I actually did the on-the-job training, that's when it got like intense.
Okay.
Yeah. And for ITE, right, I kind of feel that as a lecturer there, you got to be more of a friend to the students. Yeah. As opposed to, really teaching them the skills in that sense. So now this is not a knock against like, the students that are going to IT and stuff, but I feel a lot of the students that go into IT, right, is the parents kind of put them there so that they don't get into trouble outside.
Oh.
Yeah, so my job as a lecturer there kind of felt like I was babysitting them. And again, this is not a knock against the lecturers that are teaching there, because they are doing really good work. It takes a certain breed of teachers or certain breed of educators, right, to reach out to students like that, or they say at-risk students, right, which let's face it, in ITE there are a lot of these students. They're at risk, okay. In more recent years, they deal with more special needs kids that are coming in, as opposed to last time the stigma was that all paikian, right, go in. now is more of the special needs kids that are going there. So it really takes a special breed of lecturers to handle. or to teach this group, of students. On that note, right, that was probably the most challenging part. Yeah, because like I think a huge majority of my class at that time was either special needs or had some learning disability, and of course they were like the really good students as well, but I did feel that majority of my job was like trying to babysit them in that sense. So I think that was a challenging part. Like almost every week I was calling like one parent or two parents.
Ooh.
So at some point it actually affected my mental health. Yeah. And here's the thing that I think maybe students don't understand about lecturers is that we are human too. Yeah, we go through the same nonsense that they go through, right? We've been through it. It's just that we are a bit later on in life already, and we also have, at the workplace, we are still human, So I eventually left ITE to join polytechnic. One of the reasons was because of that. Yeah, I felt that I was doing more of the babysitting role as opposed to teaching skills. Yeah, so.
Would you say you discovered that it was like ITE side was like a learning journey for you to discover that you prefer more of the teaching side then? Or like discovering lecturing as a whole?
I think discovering lecturing as a whole at that side, yeah. Like I said, one of the best things that I experienced when I was teaching at ITE was the pedagogy course, which really firmed up what I was supposed to do as a lecturer. And I think not a lot of lecturers out there had the opportunity to go through this pedagogy course, which was really hardcore. Like I said, there was assignments to do and deliver and stuff.
Yeah.
And then go into teaching at a polytechnic level. Yeah. So it definitely got my feet very wet, yeah, to say the least, before I actually went to teach at polytechnic. In that sense, at a higher level.
Yeah. There's like a proper training. Is it normal that poly lecturers do not go through a training? And
they have as well. Yeah, they have as well. But it's a bit more touch and go as compared to.
Oh, that was like
ITE.
a thorough.
Yes, very thorough. Yeah. It's very touch and
basic
go.
military training.
Yeah. It's really basic military training. Yeah.
Right. So, what do you think is the most challenging part of a lecturer, being a lecturer?
Most challenging part again is dealing with the students. I think in any job, as long as you have to deal with people, it's very difficult. So, mad respect to counselors, psychiatrists, all those people that have to see people on a day-to-day basis and help out with their problems.
Yeah.
Because I can't do that. I'm not trained in that also. But sometimes when my students are going through struggles of their own, I kind of have to try to relate lah. Of course, we cannot give like solutions or advice, unlike the counselors, and even I think counselors, they don't give solutions. They are just there to help guide the students to find a solution within themselves, to help overcome their struggle and so on and so forth. Similarly for us, we are just there to guide the students, and I think that's the struggle, or one of the biggest challenges, I would say. As long as you're dealing, with
People.
Yeah, people, because people, emotions, a lot of things involved lah, family background and stuff like that.
And every person is very different from the others. So
Exactly. There's no one size fits all. So it's quite insane sometimes when you have like a few students that they have this problem, and then you realize then after you got to go and deal with this other student that has this problem as well. Yeah. But thankfully in poly, I'll be real here lah. In poly, there's a lot lesser of these kind of students with this sort of struggles. There are, but it's not as much as it was in ITE lah. Yeah. Again, as I said, ITE, the profile of students, let's just say, we all know lah, is very different from poly. So the skill sets that you need to deal with this sort of students is obviously very different from poly. Yeah.
So how do you get into the job of teaching?
Okay, the long story short is that I had a few interns under me during my time, during my last industry job. And I realized that, hey, I can vibe with them, I can teach them, I can coach them. And then I was like, okay, the next opportunity I see to be able to join up as a lecturer anywhere, I'll just take it up. And so happened towards the end of my tenure at the last industry job, I was already looking for another opportunity already.
Yeah.
I was seeking other opportunities already. And my friend so happened to put out an ad. Well, not really an ad, he just posted on Facebook and said, hey, we are looking for lecturers, right?
Okay,
These are the skill sets you need and stuff. And I was like, hey, I'm kind of interested. I just hit him up. I'm kind of interested to join. Maybe you can put a good word in for me. So I just submitted my resume, my portfolio, everything. And then 1 interview later, 2 interviews later, I was in. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's how it all started. But really it's because I realized that I could connect with the young people that I was in charge of at that time. I was like, and they were willing to listen to, maybe they were good students, that's why, but they, I managed to grab their attention, yeah, in a way that they were able to learn. And then when they gave feedback at the end of their internship, it's like, oh yeah, we had a really great
Intern.
supervisor
That's right.
by the name of Samuel, right? So I was like, okay, that's a good sign.
Very encouraging.
So yeah, that's how I eventually made my way in. Yeah.
Maybe they were planted in.
Who knows, right? But I mean, every internship, as a lecturer now, when we send students on internship, we make sure their skill sets are aligned with that company. Yeah. Aligned with that company before we send them out. Yeah.
Oh,
So that you imagine you have, like, for example, 80 over students, for example.
Yeah.
You have to, and if you are in charge of these students, you imagine you have to know every single one of their skill sets and what they're good at.
Wow.
And tell, yeah.
And their personality.
And their personality, their attitude, and then you got to, that's why, paperwork, guys.
How many students exactly do you like? Are you like teaching or in charge?
Okay,
I don't know. Yeah.
The current batch that I'm in charge of, I have another colleague that's sort of like the form teacher. We call it personal mentor.
Yeah.
So I'm a personal mentor for 40, actually less than 40, like 38, 36 students.
Yeah.
The other guy is also in charge for like 36, 38. Yeah.
Wow.
So we split the batch. Yeah.
Whoa, but you gotta know each individual student, man.
Well, you don't have to know intimately, but you gotta kind of know what they're good at, what they're not so good at, and what are their
strengths and weaknesses.
Strengths and weaknesses, basically. Yes, correct. Yeah. So yeah, again, another thing about dealing with people, the challenge of that, because we gotta cater what they want to do to and line it with a certain company that they can join, or align the company with what our students can do, Right. So it's it can be a challenge, but it's also a very fun process, of course, talking to the students and finding out what their passions, what they want to do when they graduate, that kind of thing.
Sounds like you really enjoy teaching.
Absolutely. Actually, I do enjoy it for the most part. Yeah. For the most part, really, really.
Yeah.
Even though I say, 90% is paperwork, but it's the teaching part and the interaction with the students that bring joy to my work. And it also helps me feel younger, I guess. Yeah. So all the Gen Z lingo is I kind of know firsthand from them because I talk to them almost every day. So Riz, what the heck is Riz, right? I'm not supposed to even know such things. What do you even know? Skibidi? I don't even know what skibidi. Freaking what is skibidi, guys? Can someone tell me what skibidi?
Please write in the comment section.
Please tell this old fart what exactly skibidi. Right, please educate this educator.
So you've been teaching for 4 years. Right before that, you were in private sector, was you?
Yes, private sector.
Then you got the interns. Is there any other reason besides teaching the interns and suddenly you realize I want to be a lecturer? Was there any what was the thought process like?
What was the thought process? There wasn't really much thought process. It's my boss is hey, you're gonna get some interns. All right, yeah, take care of them. Teach them to do some of the jobs that you are supposed to do, disseminate the work. Yeah, so it's basically learning how to sort of manage people at the same time as well. Yeah, I think I was quite fortunate to get like the interns that I got they were pretty good students. So yeah, I think they are pretty good students. So that helped. That definitely helped.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, when it goes into teaching, right, there's like a whole variety of profiles of students that you have to deal with.
That was a nice sample size.
But that was a very good sample size. Yes, indeed. It did give me a pretty good outlook on teaching.
Yeah.
But obviously, I know it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you go in. There will be people or students, difficult students you have to deal with. There will be difficult parents you have to deal with.
Ooh.
But for the most part, again, the parents have been very cooperative. I know there's a lot of like discourse out there about helicopter parents and stuff.
What's helicopter parents?
Helicopter parents that they helicopter over their kids or yeah, hey, why my kid like that? Why my kid failed, then you never tell me, that kind of thing. Yeah. By the way, you all know last time poly, right?
Yeah.
If you don't do well or if you fail a module, right? It's your pasa, right?
Yeah.
Now if if the kid is not doing well, that sort of thing, we have to tell the parents. Yeah. Sort of. That's kind of like our protocol.
I never heard of that before.
Exactly, right? Like when we were in poly, it's like, you're on your own, man. Yeah, like
your
just pay for your school fees. Pay for your school fees. You just go to school and you make sure you do well. Yeah. If you fail, then okay.
Just get over it.
Yeah, just retain 1 year. We will pay lah. Then we'll scold you.
Yeah, we'll scold you.
Yeah, huge scolding. Then it's like, you don't really, I don't recall my parents like talking to my lecturers at all.
No.
Yeah, but now we have to talk to parents, which is like a new dynamic I would think. Yeah. So times have changed. Times have really changed. But again, like I said, for the most part, the parents have been very cooperative. Yeah, I've yet to encounter. My colleagues have encountered helicopter parents. I haven't. So I haven't had the misfortune yet. Yeah. So I hope it stays that way. I really hope it stays that way.
So how was it like working in the private sector?
I was from the creative sector. So when I was in the private sector, I bounced around a lot. I tried my hand at a lot of jobs, which probably is the reason why I was also eventually hired as a lecturer, because they saw I had a lot of different experiences. So I tried my hand at pretty much everything. When I first started, I was doing serious games. Serious games are games for like training lah. They're not meant for entertainment, but it's meant to like train workers, to train employees to handle certain things. One of the best ways to explain this is that I made a game that was about identifying construction hazards around a construction site. Yeah, so that was the kind of industry that I joined when I first started. But then eventually I tried my hand also at like 3D printing. So I know how to do 3D printing. I know how to patch models, prepare models for 3D printing. That job was particularly very toxic, literally. Because they were printing. The colleagues there were great and stuff, but it was a toxic job in that sense that I was breathing in fumes every day. So that was quite an experience. Then I tried my hand at indie games as well. I was working for this company called Gazia Games. Shout out to the people that were working there. You know who you are. One of the best working experiences I had in my entire life. Next to the one that I'm having now at teaching at the Polytechnic, because I had a really great boss, I had really fun colleagues to work with. It was a very tight-knit, closely knit working environment, right? It's an indie company. There's less than 10. In fact, at one point it's just 5 or 6 people only, and it became almost like a family. I hate to use that word, right? It's a red flag. Yeah, it's a red flag when the company tells you like, we are all family, So yeah, when the company tells you that, run, man. But that job really felt like family to me. And even though it was very short-lived, because unfortunately the game did not take off, I still hold it as one of my best. I claim it as one of my best working experiences ever. In fact, from time to time, I still talk to the people that I worked with down there, and also the boss, Hendrik, I think. I'm trying to find his name right now, but I think it's Hendrik. Yeah, Hendrik was a really great boss, so shout out to Hendrik. He was really cool. he taught me a lot about the industry, the game industry in general, because I think he was a product manager previously before he started this indie game company, and he had a lot of experience. So I really picked his brain quite a fair bit when I was over there. The crazy thing is, at that time, I also started learning how to invest my money and stuff. So invest in the stock market and stuff. And he too was like, hey, you just started investing in the stock market. Okay, we got a common ground to talk about, because he's like, as artists, you cannot just rely on your 9-to-5 job to feed you, because let's face it, it's not enough, right? So he taught me a lot about investment, how you should, divide your money, don't put all your eggs in one basket and stuff. So I actually learned a lot from him. Yeah, more so than doing the actual work in the company itself, I mean, sure, the technical skills I learned there, but it's more also about how to manage myself as, an employee and as a person, and also, in a weird sense, my finances as well. Before that, right, and be very upfront, in the past, whenever my parents bring up the topic of money, right, I always get very turned off. Because maybe it's because I had really bad experiences of friends that call me out, and then 1-2 years they never see you, or many years they never see you, then they call you out, but it's for ulterior motive. They want to sell you some plan. You want to go for coffee and stuff, So whenever my parents brought up the idea of investing and putting your money somewhere you can roll, in what's that, fixed deposit and sort of thing, I just get very turned off. And it wasn't only until I started working that it dawned on me that, I really need to do this. So if you're an artist out there, right, if any of you out there are artists, you want to grow your finances, right? Let's face it, our jobs really, it doesn't pay that well. This industry really doesn't pay that well. I mean, sure, if you're a really good artist, the gig economy, can give you quite a fair bit, of income lah. But that's if you are able to get, jobs on a day-to-day basis, or even monthly lah. But as a whole, as an artist, you need to find other avenues to passively grow your income, right? Not financial advice, by the way. Right? This is just based on experience, okay? So start to learn how to invest. So I think my time there at RZT Games was very fruitful, even though it was short-lived. 1 year. After that, the job that I had after that was I was working in a visual effects company. But they opened up a VR department because VR was hot at that time. They wanted to start this VR department also. I tried my hand in applying to that company. And I got in based on the good word of a friend who was working there.
Wow.
So long story short, between that indie company closing down and me joining that VR company, there was only 1 month of unemployment that I was part of. So I was pretty fortunate at that time for that 1 month of unemployment because, right, at that time we were applying for a flat, right, for a BTO, right? Yeah. So when we applied for a BTO that time, right, me and my wife, now my current wife, okay, when we applied at that time, right, I was out of a job. So when I had to write down my employment status in the application, right, I wrote unemployed. So zero, right, zero income.
Yeah.
So what happened was that HDB ended up giving us the full subsidy for our BTO. Yeah. So it was a blessing in disguise. But after that 1 month, I got re-employed. So it's it all worked out in the end. Yeah. So that's pretty much my journey in the so-called private sector, in a sense. And I would say I was blessed a lot of times with right timing, right place, when I was, going through these different jobs. I won't really talk about the kind of experiences I had in each of these companies. All I can say is that each time I went from one company to another, I learned something new about myself and the working world out there. Which is why now I want to use this experience and share it, with my students. Use it as a learning point
to guide them.
To guide them. Yeah, correct.
So is the creative industry really very difficult, or because I understand that there can be long hours, there can be very difficult requests, and things like that. I only know the surface of it, so maybe you can tell us more.
Well, I guess if you're part of a company, right, usually your reporting officer or your boss just gives you whatever work and you're just supposed to complete it within a given deadline. You don't really deal with the clients directly. If you are doing gigs, generally it's a bit more difficult because you need to talk to the clients and negotiate with the clients yourself. And if you're a really good artist, you can always ask for more. If you're not so good, then your commission, you have to drop your price a bit. Yeah. So it's very hard to say which one is it actually very difficult as an artist. I think when you're doing freelance kind of work, it can be very difficult. There's a set of challenges that you deal with. At the same time, you're working for a company, there's another set of challenges. Again, both are very deadline heavy. It's very much, you have to deal with deadlines. Everywhere you go, you have to deal with deadlines, right?
Yeah.
But when you're on freelance, you have to deal with it on your own. But whereas in a company, you got the benefits, you got the support of your colleagues and stuff, at least they're to help you.
Yeah. So dealing with these deadlines, right? What if at some point your creativity is just not coming through and you can't get the concept through and stuff like that?
You just gotta find it within yourself to power through. Go outside, take a walk, touch grass, as the kids like to say, right? But really, that's how. I realize taking a break helps. Taking a break. So sometimes going outside, going for a coffee break, that sort of thing really does help. Yeah. But let your mind, just wander off for a bit. And then after that, when you come back, refocus. Sometimes even make sure you have good sleep as well, because sleep really does help with your creativity. Yeah. If you lack sleep, and this is proven in scientific studies, generally your brain will not function as well, obviously, right? It's not enough sleep. But when you sleep longer hours, your brain actually rewires itself. It helps you remember more things. It helps you recall even more things. This is really based on a study, I'm serious, yeah. So I feel as creatives, make sure you get enough rest. Yeah. Okay, that's my one advice. Besides, learning how to invest, and roll your income passively, get enough sleep. Yeah. Work-life balance, very important.
Yeah, don't degen too much.
Don't degen too much. Once in a while you play game degen, sure, can. I also do that, but not too much,
Right. So, what do you study to get into this area of expertise?
So it's the same thing I'm teaching right now, but I started off by studying animation at Nanyang Polytechnic, right? So I've been doing this during my tertiary education, uni education. It's been something that I've been really passionate about since I was young. And I think I mentioned earlier just now that I joined it by accident, mainly because initially when I graduated from secondary school, I did not join poly, I actually joined a JC. Yeah, because at that time, parents are all like, I must go to JC, if you want to have a really good career and stuff, because JC is the pathway to uni. We all know that's not true now because a lot of poly students end up in uni, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like JC now really is more for those that you want to be lawyer, doctor, that kind, right? I don't want to stereotype, but it seems like if you're more theory-based, you want to go to more those theory-heavy, jobs or industries, right? Then you join the JC. But back then, every parent was like, JC is the way to go. You better make sure you got a good enough result. And I did, right? I listened to them. I got really good grades, all right? Managed to get myself into JC, but then within 2 months, I felt I couldn't hack it. I really couldn't hack it. In fact, it was so bad at one point, I actually broke down in class.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because I just couldn't handle the stress. There was really so much information that I had to absorb. And full disclosure, I came from a neighborhood school, right? So the pressure to study there wasn't that great, or to perform wasn't that great. But when I went to JC, wow, everyone was just so studious. And even some didn't even study that hard, right?
And they got
but they
it.
still managed to hack it, you know? Like every test they do for general paper, GP, right? Wow, it's like, 30 over 50.
Easy.
Considered very good already, 30 over 50. Most people, right, when they do GP paper for the first time back then, they will fail one. I was one of them. And I consider myself at that time, right, pretty fluent in English. But we all know GP is not about how good your English is, it's how good your general knowledge is, right? So it was very humbling. And I started to compare myself among my peers, and then, I broke down in class. I broke down on my way home, I remember, and that's when I told my parents, sorry, like, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. Fortunately, my dad was, in fact, not just my dad, my mom, my whole family was very supportive in general of me going to poly. The real issue was trying to get me to join poly in time. But fortunately, during that period of time, because it's just 2 months in JC only, right? There was still a bit of leeway to join polytechnic during that period.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I can just say like, JC starts in January, right?
Okay, that time JC start in March. I think that last time they got the first 3 months, right? So first 3 months, then it started in April. So after that, in April, and then I think middle of like somewhere towards May, in the middle of May, I thought I wanted to drop.
Wait, doesn't poly start in April?
So at that time, I remember it started like in June. I don't know how it all panned out. But at that time the timing was very weird one. Yeah. Because JC had first 3 months, then after that you go to your respective courses, right? So okay, maybe it wasn't even 2 months that after I couldn't hack it, but maybe 1.5 months. Then my dad knew a friend that worked at the poly, and he was like, hey, my son, he wants to leave JC, he wants to drop out, right? Is there a spot for him to join this course that he's really interested in? And I told my dad that I want to join digital media design animation, this course in Nanyang Polytechnic. And I wanted to join it, one, because one of my good friends was there, and two is because I love animation, I love cartoons, right? That's the first thing I can think of. And then as my dad was like, you sure? Then I try for you, okay? So he asked the friend for a favor. The friend saw my results. Full disclosure, my L1 R5 was 14. My L1 R4 was 11. Damn. So he saw it was like, of course, no problem, come, let's faster get you in, let's faster get you signed up. And I managed to start the course on time. Yeah.
Would you say that 11 could get you in any poly course at all?
It could. I guess pretty much. Yeah, but obviously I chose the one that was like, oh, cartoons, get to draw stuff, get to animate stuff, then it's like, yeah.
Right. So when you couldn't get through the JC, right, in that 1.5 months, right, was it very disappointing for yourself?
I kind of felt, as every kid would, I kind of felt I let myself down and I let my parents down because they were like, you made it to JC already, but then how come suddenly you just cannot take? Why did you just lose yourself halfway through? And obviously at that time, mental health wasn't such a big thing as it is now. So it's very hard to bring these sort of things up to my parents, And so during that period where I was struggling and stuff, I found it very hard to open up to them. I mean, I told them that, it's very difficult, it's really a different ball game and stuff. But I didn't actually break down in front of them or cry to them and sort of thing. I think they only realized how serious it was when, somewhere in the middle, I was like, I just came crying to them. It's like, sorry. I remember I was doing my homework halfway, and my mom came in and gave me water. I was like, I just broke down in front of her and said, Mom, I really cannot do it. I was like, in tears and stuff. It's like, hey, what happened? Why you like that? And all the previous times when I told them that, wow, very stressed, JC and stuff, they were like, it's part of the learning process, you will get used to it, that kind of thing, just try your best, right?
Maybe they didn't understand how serious it was.
I think no one would be able to, because it's something that's very personal, because and I thought I was the problem. It's like a me problem, not a them problem, because everyone else was doing fine in my class, but I was the only one oh my God, I was struggling. Sure, there were other students that were pretty struggling as well, but you know, they were still like pretty okay. They were still coping pretty well, but I was like, you know, maybe I was just too used to, you know, being like doing really well in secondary school. Because again, I came from a, you know, pretty gangster school, right? So the playing field was like pretty low, I guess. Yeah. So I was used to doing quite well in secondary school. Then suddenly when I get to JC, I realized I couldn't do that well. I thought I was just a failure lah. Yeah, maybe that's probably one of the reasons why I dropped out in the end. But fortunately, when I went to poly, I found, you know, my tribe, you know, my group of people, as I like to call it, because, you know, they were weird. I was weird also at the time, right?
Okay.
As studious as I was also considered quite weird lah. Yeah. So that's when I realized, this is really the cause for me lah.
Okay, so how was it like when you transited? Were you very happy to choose like this is the course I want? Then you feel like there was a lot of hope, or was there like some sort of like getting over the disappointment and then just choosing a course? What did it feel like when you transit from GC to poly?
Yeah, so it's all a blur now to me. I just remember I was very happy to get out of JC. I wouldn't say I was very happy. I was relieved to get out of
Right,
JC,
you just got a burden.
Yeah, it was a burden lift. As much as I felt that I had let myself and my parents down, I also felt a burden lifted up. So I struck a deal with myself and said that, hey, now that I've already gone through this phase, I've already, you know, fell short in this area, I don't want to fall short anymore. So that kind of is what pushed me to steel myself in that sense in preparation for poly and to make sure I do well enough, you know. And it felt like a blur because, like I said, the transition period between JC and poly was so short. I think I only had 1 week of rest, and then I was like, once out of JC, suddenly, boom, next 2 weeks later, poly already.
Then the party started.
Yeah, and then, well, not party lah. I was cautiously optimistic after going for the first class. I still remember I had a lecturer in one of the classes that I took. I can't remember, is it design theory or something like that, where we were supposed to make a shoebox, design a shoebox out of the things that we liked, that we're passionate about, you know. Last time, there's not a lot of like digital stuff around, so a lot of things we did in year one were arts and crafts and like physical, you know, very hands-on stuff, you know, drawing and stuff like that. And remember, this lecturer told me like, hey, you got to redo your shoebox, you know, this designer shoebox that you're making, because I think it's not good enough, you know. And at that point, having come from that period in JC where I felt I let myself down, and then again being asked to redo something because it sucked, really affected me a lot. But the difference is that that lecturer came and pulled me aside after that whole thing and was like, hey, don't beat yourself up over it. This is something that's very common in the design world, right? You will always have to keep trying and trying and trying until you succeed. Yeah. It wasn't like in JC where you fail, then you fail, that's it, you know, you're done, right? Whereas, as in, I think in most creative, you know, courses and stuff, you are supposed to iterate over your designs over and over again. Yeah. So that's what really made me realize that, okay, you know, maybe this isn't so bad lah, you know, at least the lecturer there was very encouraging. Yeah. So I think that's what made me want to continue this course and realize that, yeah, you know, actually I can do this. Yeah, and then I remember I put all my effort into that one designer shoebox, right, just for that assignment. Yeah, and did pretty well at the end. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, okay. That was where I kind of came out of that slump, I guess. So very, very grateful to the lecturer. Her name is Miss Gail. So Miss Gail, if you're watching this, shout outs to you, right? Thank you for setting me on that trajectory. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks to that lecturer, Miss Gail, right?
Yeah, Miss Jowell.
You managed to get out of that slump. That slump, how long did it last for? Like, it's not so easy to get to your first project and then submit something. It's like,
Okay, fortunately for me during that time, right, that was just for the first assignment only. So it was a good start that she gave me that sort of encouragement. So from there, it just got better and better. I made friends, I found friends. I mean, I told my friends the story as well, what I went through and stuff. And they were like, wow, thank goodness you're here, I'm sure you're gonna have a great time here, that kind of thing. So I really found, like I said, I found a group of people that I could really vibe with. And I say weird also in a nice way.
Endearing terms.
In an endearing way, yes, in an endearing way. Because, right, all my life, right, as a kid, I was considered the weird one. Yeah, I was considered very different. And this was something that I had when I was, since I was a kid, I was, like, even before primary school, as a child, I was very scared of a lot of things. When I say scared, like, I was very fearful, of, like, I had phobias. So I had phobias of balloons popping, like I was scared of the noise. I was scared of, like, loud thunder. I was scared of lightning and thunder, okay? I was scared of camera flashes, that sort of thing. And when you hear all these things that I'm, like, very scared about, are very trivial, or I get very triggered by, right? Yeah. The first thing you might think of that, this kid, is he like autistic? Yeah. So when I was young, all right, I had all these phobias and stuff, and I remember one of my mom's friends in church came up to her, and she only told me this when I was 10 years old, 10, 12 years old. She came up to my mom one day and said, I think your child might be autistic. Okay, I think she meant well. I really think she meant well. She meant it more along the lines of, I think you might want to get him checked out, Yeah. And obviously at that time, right, like I said, the knowledge surrounding autism and all these like special needs is not as widespread as now, right? The awareness is not really there yet. Now we know that autism has like, different spectrums.
Talking about 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, we're talking about, now I'm 30, so we're thinking about like 30 years ago, 36, I'm 36, so about 30 years ago, around there. Yeah. And then my mom told me this when I was 10 years old, and then I realized that, okay, first thing was like, what is autism? As a 10-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, you don't know what is it about. So you go, last time no Google, you go library, you go and look it up and say, oh, it's like some kind of like special, like, you're unique, you're different, right? And after that, I start to think to myself like, oh yeah, maybe I really am, because I am scared of so many different things, I was so scared of lightning and thunder, by the way, that whenever there was a thunderstorm, I would hide under the bed, right? This is according to my parents. I would hide under the bed, cover myself with like the blanket and like start quaking and shivering in fear. I would like have buckets of sweat and stuff just from the thunderstorm and lightning, Yeah. And then my mom would come and find me and she will like uncover me. It's like, oh my goodness, why are you like sweating like that? I'm very scared of the thunder. So if I were to look back at myself like 30 years ago as well, and I saw myself through a portal or something, I would say that this guy is probably autistic. Right? Thank goodness, all right? Thank goodness my parents never accepted that.
Okay.
All right, they still treated me like a normal kid. They sent me to a normal kindergarten, normal school and stuff. They just told everyone that he's just scared of all these things.
Right.
Yeah. But it did not stop other people, or especially kids. You know how mean kids can be, right? They can. It doesn't stop them from saying nasty stuff. Right? So I was bullied when I was, in primary school because of all these quirks that I had. I was also, I was bullied in secondary school for being too studious because it's a gangster school, right? So gangster school, you want to be studious, like come on, like, this is not the place to be studious, it doesn't fit, right? But yeah, most of my life, I was like, made fun of for being different. But then when I went to poly, it's a creative industry, right? So everyone's weird there. In fact, there are people that are weirder down there. So I was like, all right, cool. Like down there, I'm pretty level, compared to a lot of the other characters that are there. So I was like, yeah, no, you're weird. I'm weird too, let's hang, man, And I made a lot of friends there. Like I really had, like in fact, a lot of the friends that I made there, now I'm still in contact with. Yeah. Whereas compared to like my secondary school, maybe I only have a handful, but in poly, wow, it's like everyone, you know, like if I see them, sometimes I'll still see them like on the street, or like when I go to visit, you know, internship companies and stuff, I say, hey, you're still working in this industry, you know? Yeah, so it's a very close-knit industry, I would say. So I think having that group of friends helped me, you know, going back to your question, right, about how I bounced back from that trajectory, I had the upward trajectory. Really, my friends helped a lot. My friends helped a lot. I had a lot of support from friends. I had a lot of support from my lecturers. So yeah, maybe that's kind of why I also end up being a lecturer in that sense. Yeah, so I can pass on this experience to my, you know, the next generation. Yeah. But that wasn't the end of like my struggles in poly. I don't share this a lot, but I was also retained 1 year in poly. Yeah, when I was there, right? So it wasn't like just that whole issue of me having to redo work and stuff and getting over that slump. That wasn't the end of it. Yeah. In poly that time, right, the course that I joined, they had 3 specializations. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, digital media design. I joined, they had 3 specializations. One is animation, one is game design, I believe, and the other was interactive media. All right, and I ended up specializing in interactive media because I thought, crap man, my drawing that time was very bad. Okay, so I thought to myself, maybe I should join a specialization that doesn't require me to draw so much. You know? So I ended up joining interactive media, which actually dealt a lot with Macromedia Flash. For those of you who don't know what Macromedia Flash is, all right, it's a very dated like app or programming. How do I put app lah? Very dated software. Yeah, I guess that they used to design websites with, you know, to create all those nice transitions and animations and stuff. Now you don't need any of that, right? You have HTML5. Okay, getting a bit technical, but
it's okay.
yeah, but that time Macromedia Flash was like the big thing.
Yeah, that was the big thing, man. Yeah. All the games online were all Flash.
Correct. All the Flash games.
Was Neopets Flash?
Was it Flash?
But anyway, a lot of
it
games.
Probably is.
A lot of games.
Yeah, it was such a big thing that they even had a Flash website awards that time.
Yeah, right? It was like Unreal Engine.
Correct. Yeah, it's like this generation's Unreal Engine. Yeah. Like, wow, it's gonna be the next big thing and stuff like that. Yeah. Look where is it now, right? It's dead. But that time when I joined interactive media, I was like, okay, cool, man, we're gonna do Flash. But then I realized I can't program for shit, man. You know, I require a lot of programming, and I realized, I just couldn't hack it. So because of that, right, I ended up having to retain was it one semester? Okay, I retained 1 semester, but I ended up having to retain 1 year. Yeah, because I took a bunch of modules that I took a bunch of modules that I didn't do well in. Okay, in fact, I failed 2 of them, and as a result of that, I got to take other modules to make up for that. Yeah, so that cost me like a year. Yeah. So retain 1 year. Now they call it custom study path in poly.
Sounds better.
Yeah, sounds better. But last time you say, you retain 1 year, sucks to be you. You know, yeah. Now they're a little bit more, you know, PRPC about it, Yeah. So that was the other slump that I experienced, because I felt that, wow, I can't even make the right decision for my life, man. How am I going to even continue to do well, you know? But then again, I found it somehow within myself to make sure that I did well in whatever specialization I was going to do next. And the specialization which I chose eventually was animation. And in that course, I realized that, actually, I can do animation. It's just that I kind of sucked at drawing. But animation consists of more than just 2D, 2D art. It also consists of 3D as well. And I realized I was really good at 3D stuff. So all the 3D modeling, texturing, lighting, especially 3D animation, I was really into it. So I just ended up finding that was my passion and my niche. So as compared to that initial slump where I had someone to bring me out of it, this one I kind of just realized that, hey, I actually am pretty good at doing 3D animation. So it just picked up from there, and Actually, I graduated with a pretty decent GPA. It was enough to get me into uni. Yeah, it was enough to get me into uni. Anyway, for creative industry, right, unis don't really look at your GPA. They look more at your portfolio. Yeah. So even though my GPA was pretty decent, if you were to look at my GPA, okay, it's 2.9. Okay, when I graduated from poly, actually it's not good enough to get in.
2.9 for creative courses is pretty good already.
Pretty good already.
Pretty good already.
Okay, I don't know lah. But to me at that time it was like okay, not bad. I mean,
to me it's pretty good lah. Just want to say.
I thought like good is like really good is like 3.5, 3.9 that kind. I had a friend that was 3.9. It's like, dude, how do you even do it? Yeah, in a creative course, like, how do you even do it? You know, yeah, it's insane. But he was really good lah, right? But if you look at my GPA, actually not good enough to go into uni one. Yeah, and again, I think my life ever since then, right, has pretty much been characterized by right time, right place. So initially when going off on a tangent here, from like, I'm just trying to show you guys like a timeline of like events, it's like my entire life is like go up, go down a bit, and go up, and go down a bit, and go up again. So after I graduated from poly, right, I actually tried to apply to uni. So at that time, there were 2 different universities that accepted, this sort of animation students. One of them was NTU ADM, Art Design Media School. And the other one was a very new school by the name of DigiPen Institute of Technology.
Ooh,
yes.
Yeah, that was very new at the time.
Very new. They came in first on their own as a private school. But then suddenly out of nowhere, there's this, there's this organization called SIT, Singapore Institute of Technology, that came out of nowhere as like, hey, do you want to work together with us?
Collab.
Yeah, collab with us, and to allow students, to allow poly students to get a university education. That is the main goal of SIT. At that time, I don't know is it the same now, but their main goal of SIT is to enable poly students to get a university education. Yeah, which I don't know, was it such a huge issue at that time? But maybe at that point it was a transition already where more poly students were going to uni and stuff. Because back then they said like only the top 10 or 5% of poly students can get into uni or something like that. I can't remember the statistic. So SIT stepped in, wanted to bring students into, or rather admit students into all these universities, poly students in particular. Yeah. So when I initially first applied to DigiPen, right, they did not accept me, and
reject.
Okay, yeah. Well, it was very rough because when you join DigiPen, right, you have to go through an interview. Okay. And it's a panel interview.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I brought my portfolio there, right, and I presented it, my demo reel and stuff, right. If you're an artist, you know what a demo reel, you know what a portfolio is, lah. When I presented it at the interview, right, wow, I got shot down so bad, Yeah.
What did they say?
Your portfolio, okay, I can't remember the exact words, but your portfolio is lacking a lot of things, Okay. It's very poor, this is very basic, that kind of thing. Wow. I mean, something along those okay, I tell you, last time, creative industry, the people very brutal one.
Okay.
Yeah, because they will tell you all these things because they say clients outside will say the same things to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually an excuse, for them to whack you like that. But that's what I got. My poly life, all the lecturers were like that. And then when I went uni was even like when I went to that interview, it was exactly like that as well. Like kena shot down, kena whack. Wow. And I remember that time, right? I was in army. I took a day off from my but it was a Friday but I still took a day off just to go for that interview. Wow, and then I go there, I kena whack.
Wasted my leave.
Yeah, wasted my off. Okay, it was off okay, but wasted my off. I just go and then I wasted my off just to go there to get shot down.
Oh man.
And it was a uni that I really wanted to join. So I got back home, I was very dejected. And then, again, I told this to my mom and she was like, again, don't worry, alright, if you cannot get into uni, why not you go out and work first, get some experience, go and try your hand. And getting some industry experience, because once you get industry experience, it's easier for you to get into uni after that. They are more willing to accept you because that's what uni is for. After you graduate from uni, what do you go and do? You go out and work already, right? Unless you want to go and do masters and stuff. But basically, most people just get a degree and then they go out and work, right? So I say, why not you do it the other way around? You go outside and work first, then you go and join uni. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that because, as I told you earlier, SIT stepped in later, right? And this was in the second year of my army, and one fine day. So I heard this news about SIT, absorbing or bringing DigiPen under their umbrella to allow more poly students to come in. And I was all prepared to like, okay, I'm gonna give this another shot, right? If I have to go through the same interview again, kena whack, so be it, all right? But what I did was I made sure I built up my portfolio, I brushed up my portfolio a bit more before I went for the interview. However, SIT had different plans in the sense that one fine day, I was just doing my regular army stuff. I was a medic, I was a documentation medic, so I manned the registration booth a lot. But it was a very slow afternoon, I remember that day. And then one fine day, they got this private number call me, and then I picked it up. I was like, yeah, who's this? And it's like, oh, this is so-and-so calling from SIT DigiPen. And then I was like, oh, what? Okay, what do you want with me? Do you want to call me down for an interview, is it? Then I was like, then she's like, not exactly, yeah. We just want you to come down and sign some documents and then you are enrolled already. Then I'm like,
best day ever.
Like, huh? What's going on? Like, what do you mean you want me to go down? So, based on your previous interview and on the information we collected...
Wait, previous interview the year before?
Yes. Based on your previous interview and the information we collected, and now that we have opened up the criteria to allow more poly students to come in, we are ready and willing to accept you to join our course. Based on the previous one.
What?
So remember again, the mission of SIT was to allow more poly students to have a university education. Again, I could be wrong, right? So those of you who are working in SIT, please correct me, okay? Write in the comments somewhere, okay, what exactly is the mission statement? But at that time, I remember correctly, is to allow more poly students to come in. And they made good on that promise. So I literally, that weekend, I just went down, and I saw another friend with me as well. That's the best thing. Saying, oh, I also got rejected, the first time. Hey, like we all go there. Wow, this is amazing, man. We sat down. They gave us like, hey, you want any like drinks and stuff? Give us a few minutes. We just want you to while we prepare the paperwork, and then they give it to us. Then you see, just fill in all your details here. Then you sign at the end. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and then I went home. Yeah, and then after that, it's like. I think only a few months later, then they told me, okay, you're supposed to report to the school on this like date and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet you were mentally preparing. Okay, I'm going to go through the interview again.
Yeah.
They're going to shoot me now again.
Yeah,
maybe
correct.
I got to prepare.
I was like ready, man. It's like, let's give this another shot. And then it's like, hello, this is SIT calling. Like, oh, we just want you to come down and sign stuff. Like, what?
Mind blown.
So I say my entire life actually since then has been like characterized by right place, right timing, and I say that a lot also, mainly because I put like a lot of trust. I mean, I'm a Christian, so yeah, that's what has been carrying me through all this while is my faith, and I believe the big guy up there always has bigger plans for me and stuff like that. So yeah, thank God, thank God for that.
Yeah, all panned out in the end. DigiPen out. So, wow, that sounds like quite a journey. Like,
man,
I'm gonna assume like your university was pretty smooth.
My university was okay. For those of you who have gone through DigiPen, you all will know that. Okay, it's easy to get in, not easy to stay in.
Okay. How was it?
At that time, DigiPen was known to have a very high attrition rate. It was even reported in the papers.
Okay.
Attrition rate very high. I don't know exact numbers, but yeah. I remember after the first year or the first was it first year? Oh, after the first semester, right? I think like 30% of my cohort was gone.
Dude, that's mad.
Dropped out. Yeah, it was really intense. And there's a good reason for that because it was a 2.5, it was supposed to be a 4 years course, but in order for SIT to subsidize us, they compress it into 2.5 years.
Ooh.
So we ran not by semester, we ran by trimester. Sounds like giving birth, right? We ran by a trimester, right? These 3 semesters in 1 year. Okay, 1 year.
Give birth to your certificate, bro.
Yeah, Lord, give birth to my degree. And our breaks were only 2 weeks and 1 week in between each one.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's non-stop, man. Now, from what I heard, is a lot better lah. Okay, from what I heard, it's a lot better. Now, I mean, those of you who are studying there now, I think it's 4 years now. Yeah,
Oh,
4
so
years. So they spread it out. Okay, so initially we feedback to them, say, well, 2.5 years cannot lah. Very shag, you know. So after that, they extended it to 3 years. Then those that took 3 years, I think they feedback to them and say, very shag, I can push to 4 years. Okay, so now they run by regular semester, and then they have this thing called summer school, I believe, where you can take modules in the summer semester. Those like modules you want to, not extracurricular, or you want like those modules that you feel not so important one, right? You can do in the summer, you know, then you can clear your credits faster.
Or like extra time.
So you can finish, you can take lesser modules in the regular semester,
Right.
as a result of taking some modules in the summer semester. So there's a lot more flexibility now. By the way, last time, right, Digipen, the passing grade is 70%. Like 70,
Oh, is that why?
70 out of 100.
Dude, 70 out of 100, then they squeeze everything together. That's
70 out of 100, yeah, as stipulated by the main Digipen body in US.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
70 out of 100. It wasn't only until now, much later, that SIT said that, hey, we got to align everything. Like, you cannot make everybody like 70 out of 100.
Yeah.
Must be 50 out of 100, then pass, right? So it was insane. That means if you got a C grade, right,
Fail.
which is 70, is a fail.
Crazy.
It's mad, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that really taught us how to be resilient, you know.
It's a hard grind.
Yeah, it's really a hard grind, man. But the good thing is that we all grind together. I can say that in Digipen, we work hard, but we party even harder.
Nice.
Yeah, we work hard. I mean, I guess because my group of friends that I was with, okay, so this is what we did after every semester in Digipen. We would go and club. We would hit the clubs, man. Yeah, that
Got
1 week, that 2
release.
weeks, yeah, just release all the stress.
Go to Jiakim Street, really.
Yeah, Jiakim. That time, I like to go Butterfact.
Okay.
Full disclosure. Yeah, this guy, you don't see already, like that.
That was a pass.
Yeah, your boy knows how to party. So, yeah.
I want to try to understand this 30% attrition rate, like roughly 30%. How many people is that? Like one class, maybe there's like 40 people? Or like...
Man, I can't remember the numbers because it was a lot. I just remember that I saw a lot of faces, and then the next semester,
Gone.
like, hey, what happened? Like, are they not coming back? Then I say, oh, I heard this person, like, then my friends, oh, I heard this person like drop out, don't want to continue, and stuff like that. In fact, some of my friends came to me, well, not as in like when we were doing work, and over lunch we were just casually sharing that they would casually mention that, hey, maybe next year I don't want to continue, or maybe next time I don't want to continue. I don't think this is what I want to do here. Yeah. So the good thing about that is it really narrows down the people who really want to do this for a living. Yeah. And they really produce the best of the best. Like Digipen is really known to produce one of the best like artists, like animators or game designers and game artists in the industry today. Yeah, and it's probably because of that. You know? Yeah.
Would you say that your past experience helped you go through Digipen? Like the slums and the difficult times?
I guess in that sense, yes, I would say, you know, having gone through all the difficult periods in my polytechnic, in my earlier times in life, really did help. Because I knew what it's like to have given up on something, to felt like such a failure, and to finally be able to grab hold of something that I really like and make the most out of it. You know, so it's like throughout all my life, all the slumps that I had, right, make me resolve to want to do better in the next thing I put my heart into. Yeah. So uni was really like the be all and end all. Yeah, it was the testing ground of all the. I guess it was a culmination of all the experiences I had before that. You know, but obviously when I graduated and went to work, it's a different set of challenges as well. I mean, because that one you're dealing with real people, you're dealing with bosses and stuff.
Real clients.
Yeah, real clients and people from all walks of life. I guess army kind of had a hand in that as well because, as I mentioned before, I was very fearful of a lot of things as a kid, right? That continued all the way until like my poly. I was still scared of, well, speaking of that, still scared of like lightning and thunder, but not to such a great degree when I was a kid. I didn't like hide under the covers like, oh my god, I can't come out, because it's a thunderstorm,
Scared shock.
But I'll still get a shock and like I was like, oh, I'll pull down the blinds and stuff. Maybe sometimes now I can't kind of do that still, but it's mainly because it's disturbing me from my work. But yeah, I still had all those fears and all the way until army. But when you go to army, you don't have a choice, right? You fire your weapon, you're surrounded by loud noises, you're surrounded by flashing lights and stuff. You have no choice but to get accustomed to it. So I guess in that sense, it kind of helped me, overcome all these things. It's like the exposure to all these things, it could swing either way. I could have either gotten like
more scared
of it. I could have gotten PTSD from it, or I could have overcome it, which fortunately I did. The other thing that I was very grateful to the army for is that they put me in medic course. And at that time, right, I was also scared of needles actually.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know whether it's some practical joke by someone up there or what, but they decided to throw me to medic course, like after my BMT. I don't know, was it because I answered something in that quiz at CMPB or something like that, that made me want to, then they say, oh, this person very good for medic.
Yes.
Or like, or something, I'm scared of needles, okay, put this guy in medic course, right? But I was very grateful for that because that really allowed me to overcome my fear of needles actually, right? No choice, right? Every week you have to do IV, right? And yeah, that was kind of like the status quo, or that was like kind of like the training protocol every week, all right? Every week you got to do at least one IV. You must, and proper one, that means must have, like when you infuse the needle, must have backflow, must prime the solution properly.
Every single step is done properly.
Yeah, every single step is done properly. And if you're in healthcare, right, you all will know that, doing IV, sometimes you will miss the vein, right? Yeah. So if you miss, what do? You do on the other arm. And then if it's not successful on the other arm, what you do? You have to find someone else because you can only do on one person 2 times only. Yeah. Right? So down there, we like to sell arm. So they say, hey, you cannot clear like $50 by one. Yeah.
Lucrative.
Right? Yeah. So it was a pretty lucrative, I guess, business in that sense. So yeah, I guess because of all these experiences that I went through when I eventually went to uni, I was able to, I was pretty resilient already by that time, And it did help that everybody in the uni that was serious about continuing in this course worked really, really hard as well. Yeah, so everybody would burn the midnight oil, would stay up long hours just to complete assignments, and we will. Last time no Discord Now the kids so fortunate, right? They can sit in Discord together in the voice chat, do work together and then chat. Last time I literally stay in the uni all the way until the closing hours at 10, 11 like that. Yeah, sit in front, then do our live drawing, do our sculpting, do our 3D assignment all together. Yeah, so it built that sense of camaraderie. And the training was also so solid, right? Until when all of us went into the industry, it's like, okay, this one you've been through worse.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so in army, you actually overcome most of your fears when you were a kid. So was it immediate, I have to get through this and that's it?
Yeah, I guess most of it was I don't look stupid in front of my peers. I've looked stupid all my life already, right? I cannot look like a dumbass in front of my bunkmates, right?
Yeah.
But that said, right, obviously there was a bit of hesitation also, when it came to doing certain things and stuff. And one thing about army is that you really meet people from all walks of life. I mean, when you go out and work, sure, but those are the people that are within your industry when you work there. Army is really you got the polytechnic, you got the very studious like myself, then you got the so-so, you got the lazy. Yeah, I mean, wow, really got like my bunk is still got one guy Ang Kong Xiao Xiao one. Then it's like that's the first time I ever really like interacted with someone that's like wow, you know, straight up gangster. Like, the real deal, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't want to look stupid. You know, basically that's one of the things that got me through. Yeah, you want to look tough, right?
Yeah.
You don't be look. I mean, to put it bluntly, you don't look pussy, you know. Yeah. So that was one of my main motivations, you know. The funny thing is, I remember at that time, right, when I joined army, you know, the SAR 21, the rifle.
Yes.
It was still pretty new.
Oh.
So I remember the second week when I was in there, right? So the first 2 weeks usually you don't get the book out, right? The second week they say, oh, they want to pick a few people to go and trial the new SAR 21.
Ooh, that's how new it was.
Yeah, that was how new it was, man. And like the new digital, the pixelated camo uniform, that was also, we were I think the second batch to like try it on.
Oh.
Yeah, so you guys can kind of like guess my age already. Yeah, so
69.
it was so new. I mean, I enlisted in 2009, September 2009. So yeah, back then the pixelated camo was still pretty new, and the SAR 21 was also quite new. So they say, oh, we want to pick 5 guys from your what's it? Unit.
Cohort,
yeah. What was it? The company, from your company.
From a company.
Sorry. Right. Too long army already. From your company to go and trial fire the SAR 21. And they were and then my sergeant was like, okay, you and you. I was like, bro, I'm scared of loud noises. But I was like, then my sergeant was like, you okay or not? I was like, yeah. Wait, I'm going to look like an idiot on just the second week, right?
Didn't you fight an M16 before that?
Nope. Never.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, so they were phasing out the M16 already.
Okay.
But there was still further down the road. I think they still let us play around with the M16, but it was a paintball.
Oh.
Yeah. So to get us just give us a feel of like what it was like to fire M16 last time. Yeah. But cannot get used to the iron sight. That one was like wow, different ball games. Yeah. SAR 21 got lasers. Yeah, and the scope.
Yeah.
Wow, but then Sunny asked me, okay, go and trial fire lor. I was like, dude, I never fired a gun in my entire life, and not only that, I'm scared of loud noises. You know?
Live firing.
Live fire. Yeah, it was live fire. There was like a target board, but there were people there to make sure.
Yeah, safety officers.
Yeah, there were safety officers there. There was a lot of safety officers there. So they brought us to the firing range. I was like, I think it was because they needed to do it for some media or shoot or whatever. So there were a lot of big shots there, I remember.
They chose you like face nicer.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. By the way, last time I used to wear glasses, so I don't look like that now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't look like that. Yeah, I look very different with glasses on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that time on, then just go and shoot lor. I think we only allowed to fire twice. Or like, I can't remember which was it. Like fire 2 live rounds and fire 2 blanks first and then fire 2 live rounds. I remember correctly. Yeah,
okay.
And there was so like you fire blanks to test.
Yes.
Then after that they give you a cartridge with live rounds. Yeah, this guy, you know. But there was a safety officer there to tell you when to shoot. You put safety down and then you squeeze the trigger. Okay. So he guided me on. Then bang bang. I fired the 2 blanks. Not too bad. Then bang bang the 2 live rounds. Then I was like, oh, okay. Actually not too bad. Got earplugs, you know, and everything. Yeah. So from there I realized. Then when we do fire movement, all that, I kind of overcame it already. By the time it's like, okay, this is not too bad. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I still remember that time we do fire movement, then my earplugs fell, and then bang bang. It was like, oh my! That's the first time I heard the that sound, right? That's the first time I got it. I was like, oh, that's how it feels like, you know, like pam pam, wow, like shit, man, this is loud.
Why I asked about the M16 because the M16 is louder. So you're lucky you fired a SAR.
Yeah, thank God. That's what I heard. We fired paintballs with it. That's it. You know. Yeah. Correct.
Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, so army really just like, you know, put me through a whole spectrum of things that I was scared of. So in that sense, I'm grateful that I went through army. And I would say that, I guess for every guy, right, yeah, it's a good thing lah. So there's 2 things that can come out from joining army, to be honest. Either you become a better person or you become worse. Yeah, people will always change right after they come out. Yeah, that's something I realized. Yeah.
So, army really shaped you
shaped me a lot.
Do the finishing touches.
Yeah. I guess
Very,
that's the
very,
word.
yeah,
Yeah,
finishing
added the
touches.
finishing touches on some of the quirks that I had.
Yeah. Then after that, the uni was your like testing ground. Okay, this guy is almost finished. Let's put him in the testing ground in uni.
Correct. Then after that, send him out to the world, and then here I am teaching students.
So along the way, I guess you also met your wife at some point.
Yeah, I did. I met her on Tinder, right? Yeah, shout outs to Tinder, right? Maybe you should pay me some royalties for that, promoting for you. No, I'm just kidding. But Tinder at that time was a very new thing, along with other platforms like OkCupid, Paktor as well. Now there's so many other platforms,
Yeah, so
like
many.
Coffee and Bagel, Sugar Book. No, I'm just kidding.
Depends on your preferences.
Depends on your preferences. We don't discriminate. Okay? Yeah. But yeah. just kidding on that. But yeah, so I met her on Tinder because at that time, right, I actually tried to date like a few friends and date around a few friends and stuff, but it never actually worked out. And then I was like, hey, what do I have to lose, right? I'm of a certain age already. I'm like, at that time, I think I was 25, 27. I was like, what do I have to lose, right? Just try one of these platforms. And then I actually did go on like a few dates with, like a few girls and stuff. But can't really connect on another level until I met my wife, and I realized we had a lot in common. And at that time, she was a primary school teacher.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so she was also, okay, so my wife is a full-time content creator now. But at the time, she was teaching in primary school and she was also running a blog. Yeah, so she was kind of like in this so-called content creation game for quite some time already. And the funny thing is I recognized her from a blog that she wrote previously as well.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, are you this person? And the funny thing is she was also a mutual friend with one of my secondary school friends.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, interesting profile, all right. So we actually chatted quite a fair bit while we were on Tinder. All right, and then suddenly I remember my interactions with her were pretty like
Shallow first.
were pretty shallow at first, but then I realized that I can kind of like connect with her on a different level. But then suddenly she disappeared from the platform.
What?
Yeah, correct. I think, and then she told me like after we have dated for a while now that she's my wife, she said that at the time she left the platform because she was just too busy to maintain it.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people messaging.
Yeah, probably a lot of bad people message her and stuff like that. Probably I was one of them.
Yeah. Probably you are.
Yeah. So I was quite after a while when I realized I can connect with her, I was quite persistent, and then I realized that she's not replying already. And then like what happened to her profile? She said she deleted her profile, but I remember I messaged her, then the profile was still there, but she just wasn't responding.
Right.
But I thought that wasted opportunity. But as I don't like to use the word fate, but as destiny, I don't know, all right, would have it, right, or as things would have it, circumstances would have it, I actually realized that I found her blog, right, and then not only that, somehow Facebook recommended her, and then I realized she's a mutual friend with one of my secondary school friends, and then I added her. I can't remember whether I added her on Facebook or I messaged her first, but I think I messaged her first. And then it's like, hey, I realized that you've not been on that platform for a while, but I'm really interested in you, maybe we should hang out sometime, that sort of thing. Yeah. And then after that, she told me, in hindsight, after we've been dating for a while, she's like, oh, wow, this person really persistent, it seems like he's genuinely interested, so I'll give him a chance, and that's when we started dating, and then we started to hit it off. Now, actually, if it were me from the outside looking in, right, I would have thought, wow, this guy's stalkers, find me on Facebook, wow, got a mutual friend, then come and message me and stuff like that. So I did answer that question. So, you did find that I was trying to stalk you and stuff? Because now that I look back, it's like, oh yeah, this sounds a bit like a stalker. Go and find her on Facebook and stuff. But it just so happens that she was mutual friends with one of my secondary school friends. It's like, oh, I found you, and then I found your blog as well and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm really interested in your character, you as a person, Yeah. Then she's like, no, I just thought you were really persistent and you're genuinely interested, and from there everything just took off from there. Yeah, the rest is history. Yeah, and now we are happily married for I must get this right, since 2021. So yeah, 3 years already. 1, 2, 3. 3 years.
22, 23, 24. Correct.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah, we just celebrated our anniversary. Okay, I got it right, babe. All right.
Yeah.
We just celebrated our anniversary on the 27th of Feb.
Right.
Yeah, correct. Oh, and I'm very proud of our wedding because we did it during COVID.
Ooh.
Yeah, so okay, not a proud moment maybe for some of our families because I cannot invite so many people, right? That time limit to 20, but for us, wow, best wedding ever. Like just close friends and family, you know, very intimate. No, don't need such a big hoo-ha and stuff. We didn't even do a pre-wed.
Oh.
Yeah, we were that radical. We wanted just to save up for our honeymoon. After COVID ended, so we were like, no pre-wed. We just have a simple like on the day wedding shoot, get married, like
boom, done.
Stay in hotel for a few days, then after that, go back to work.
We'll save the vacation for another day.
Yeah, save the honeymoon for another time, babe. Yeah, so best wedding ever. COVID, what you gotta do, right? So I'm still very proud of that moment. Oh, and we streamed our wedding on Twitch.
Oh.
Yeah. If you guys didn't know, there's still some clips on my Twitch channel from that wedding. The famous one is me like kissing my wife lah.
Oh,
when they announced as husband and wife. So I don't know who clipped it, but shout outs to the person that that clipped. Yeah, good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
I just realized you mentioned COVID period. So COVID was around 4 years ago. That was when you started lecturing in IT also, is that it?
I started lecturing in IT in 2019.
2019?
So just before COVID hit.
Right.
Yeah. So when I got my first batch of students, COVID hit. Wow, it was a mess, man, let me tell you. Because we were all scrambling because it's new.
Yeah.
Like we've never encountered this before where people have to like stay home and stuff, So wow, everybody was panicking, and I was about to receive my first batch of students in 2020, and when COVID just started, and the government literally announced like, okay, the week before school started, right? I remember very clearly, April 2020. The week before, they said, oh, everybody must stay
home.
Yeah. Then the school was scrambling, like, how? The students are coming, we cannot even brief them.
Yeah.
So what happened was they came. One day only, we briefed them. The rest of their learning was online for a month. And then after that 1 month, the school break. I think they brought forward the school break, the 1 month school break, or the 1.5 month school break to, was it in May? Wow, so the entire May was like resting at home, and there's nothing.
You just started work.
I just started I started teaching my first batch of students. I'm sure the students were very happy, right?
Yeah.
Hey, 1 month no school, and the holiday brought forward, and I just taught them for like 1 month only, and then like, okay, bye, see you guys. Maybe not even 1 month, maybe like even 3 weeks only, if I remember correctly. And wow, we had to scramble to convert all our content to online content. We had to figure out how to use Zoom. My goodness, who knew how to do Zoom at that time? Right? Zoom was like, I don't know, it's just like a video conference.
New thing.
Yeah, it's just like for companies to video conference when you can. Skype, they had Skype, right, at one point at the time. But Skype's still around even then. I don't know. It's still around, right? But I think Zoom kind of like came to the fore. So we all figuring out like, how to use Zoom to conduct. Oh, at that time they had Microsoft Teams.
Oh.
Yeah, so we had to either figure out how to use Microsoft Teams or Zoom. Wow, I tell you, mad, man.
You're fresh, you don't know what to do. Then your seniors also like don't really know what to do. Everybody's just like
new to teaching, new to this the new normal, right? They call it the new normal. New batch of students. Oh wow! I think maybe that's what caused a lot of the initial challenges and stress that I had teaching at IT, and it didn't really help a lot in the sense that I didn't really connect with the students, my students, on that level, on that personal level, because there was distance, it's not face to face, and when you do things online, you can't see their faces. Most of the time they turn off their camera. You don't know what they're doing. They play game, you also don't know, right? Yeah. So it just felt very moved. And when everything came back to face, right? for some of them, I didn't feel very connected to lah, I guess, in that sense. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Sounds quite rough, man.
It was a rough first few months, I would say, but everything after that, stabilized.
Smoothened out.
Smoothened out, I guess.
Oh, earlier you were talking about your wife doing content creation, and you also do content creation, right?
Yep.
So what is it exactly that you do?
So actually, all right. So going back to the whole, break, the school break that the students had during COVID, right?
Right.
So that was around the same time I started a Twitch channel. Okay, I didn't start a Twitch channel then. I actually had a Twitch channel very long before that. But it was lying dormant, right? Because Twitch was a thing, I guess, until COVID. I guess it was a thing to some people, right? But streaming wasn't such a big thing at that time just yet. But my wife was like, okay, then my girlfriend, now my wife, okay, my fiance, she was like, hey, you got a Twitch channel, right? Why not you try lah? Don't just let it sit there and you do nothing with it lah. Just go and find out how to start streaming, how to play games, right? To show people, and yeah, just go for it lah. And initially I was a bit hesitant. It's like, oh my god, I have like kids to teach in the day already. You still want me to go and go live and entertain people? I was like, I'll think about it. I mean, I was a bit lazy but when May came around and there was really literally nothing to do. Oh, by the way, that period was one of the fittest times of my life as well, because nothing to do. What you do at home, you exercise.
Even comparative to army?
Yeah, not say comparative to army, almost, because literally I exercise every day.
Wow.
At home, nothing to do, right? Sleep already, jiapeng. Then after jiapeng already, sleep already, what you do? Right? Okay, maybe play games.
A bit mindless.
Yeah, but you play game already, what you do? Okay, you must at least use this period to get healthy, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, I also okay, what do I have to lose, right? It's COVID. I can't do anything else, right? So I just start streaming games, and initially I did it. I streamed together with my friend, Tidal Forge, right? Who was my moderator on my channel as well, and a good friend from Poly. I was like, hey, when I do things, I usually need to bounce off someone. So maybe we can do this together, and I bounce off the conversations off of you. And here's the funny thing. This friend of mine, right, who's my moderator also, he used to go to uni together with me as well, right? And we actually started a YouTube channel back then. Something along the lines of Markiplier, PewDiePie, Game Grumps. Yeah, we sort of did those commentary, we play video games and we did commentary. Yeah. So we started a channel doing that at one point. Right?
How was it?
It didn't really take off. But one thing cool about that was that I think in 2016, while the channel was still around, right? I mean, the channel is still around, but it's dormant.
Yeah.
Right? I got a chance to interview a really famous artist by the name of Sakimi Chan at STGCC.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was one of the high points of the channel.
Okay.
Yeah. I got opportunity, thanks to my lovely wife for the opportunity, by the way, because she blogs and stuff, so she was invited to STGCC, and they were like, do you want to interview Sakimi Chan, because she's a very, very famous artist. Sakimi Chan, by the way, is known for drawing a lot of nude stuff. Right, that's where she makes most of her commissions.
She didn't sound familiar to me again. Sorry.
Yeah. So she's bringing in the bucks, raking in huge money from her Patreon and stuff. Right. So I got a chance to interview her. The interview is still on my YouTube channel. All right. Yeah. So maybe later I can share the link with you.
Sure.
You can
you can say what's the channel name now?
It's called Samside Gaming. Okay, there's a reason for the name, because my name is Samuel.
Right.
My friend's name is also called Samuel. So yeah, it's just different surname.
Okay.
So we call it Samside Gaming. That's cringe. All right. Yeah. But it is what it is, and yeah, we got a chance to interview someone big, and that was the high point of that channel. So going back to the whole streaming thing, I was like, hey, we used to do this before, right? Maybe I'll just do the same thing. I'll bounce it off you and stuff lah. And I guess the initial streaming bug beat me from there. Yeah, I remember the first game we streamed was Streets of Rage, the remake. Yeah, the new one.
I don't know what game it is.
It's a beat 'em up. It's a remake of the old beat 'em up lah. Streets of Rage, and yeah, I was like, okay, this is pretty fun to do. No pressure. I mean, 0 viewers,
just
right?
Play.
Yeah, just play. And then I remember I got my first viewer and I was like, oh my god, someone actually watches my stream, I guess because that time COVID was like becoming a thing already, and then more people were hopping onto the platform,
Yeah.
And so from there, I got to know a few big streamers. I actually, before I started streaming, right, I went to watch a few of the more well-known streamers, established streamers then. So one of the first people I actually watched was Wolfsbane. Right.
Hey.
At the time, she wasn't partnered yet. So, wow, it was like way back when I first watched her. And I remember that time when she got partnered, I was very happy for her. But she was one of like the most genuine streamers that I actually watched online at that time. Right. And it also helped that we used to play Monster Hunter World. We played the same game together, Monster Hunter World. So we were really into both the same things. So she kind of inspired me to start in that sense. Also, there was this other streamer by the name of Zero Knight. She's a Canadian streamer. She now mostly does cosplay on TikTok, right? But she's one of the very few streamers that also inspired me to start this whole streaming gig. And I guess because of both of them, like, raiding my channel, bringing followers over, it kind of exposed me. And that's how my channel grew from there. So I'm really thankful to both of you. If you're watching this, Wolfsbane, Zero Knight, you guys, thank you, right? Yeah. So that's how my content creation journey started. It also helped the fact that my wife was also a content creator, so she kind of knew the ropes then. Now she does more of TikTok. Stuff on TikTok. So that's kind of what I'm pivoting to as well now.
So where are you pushing out your content to exactly?
Okay, so now I'm still doing Twitch, but not as often as I would want to. Because now I think now that the economy has opened up again, a lot of people have gone back to work, and there's other things in life that they have to do and stuff. So I am pivoting more of my content towards short form content, I guess, TikTok and stuff. So yeah, you'll see me more on like IG Reels and TikTok, I think, moving forward.
Right.
Not that I'm abandoning my, Twitch channel altogether. I mean, that's where I started off from, and that's where I want to continue, but maybe on a lesser frequency. And why I'm still quite passionate about, Twitch is that it's where I started from, this content creation journey. In fact, when I first started it, one of the reasons was also because I wanted to know how to be able to interact with students online, or connect with them on a more digital level, I guess, because there's no physical contact and stuff, no physical, sharing of lessons and stuff. So I want to find out how to make it interesting, and I want to know what are some of the things they were into. That's how I kind of started.
Sort of like understanding them. You don't have to talk about schoolwork or anything. They can just chill.
I want to make the lessons I want to understand how to make it more interactive, in the sense where you just, other than just you come online and say hi, we're gonna start a lesson, blah blah blah. You want to introduce some form of engagement, correct? Right. How to engage with them, correct? That's the word. How to engage with them on that level. So that's one of the reasons why I joined Twitch, and it really did help, because I found out how to do startings. When you had before the stream starts, you have the starting soon thing. So I kind of implemented that in my lessons as well. So it's not like you sit in the Zoom or the Teams waiting room and then
teacher just
blank one, just tell camera, okay, we start now. You can play some elevator music, even then they'll be like, wow, just so funny, play elevator music, yeah, that kind of thing. Or they'll say just so boomer, play elevator music, But whatever it is, right, it engages them. So that is still where I'm very passionate about. But as with trends nowadays, right, they change very, very fast. So that's why I'm trying to pivot more, I guess, to short form content in that sense. And a lot of my content is going to be very focused on gunpla.
Let's go.
Because due to the COVID situation in the past, initially I was supposed to get my own place in 2021. But because of COVID, I ended up staying with my parents longer than usual. And as a result of that, I couldn't build my gunpla, model kits as much as I wanted to. In fact, I didn't do any gunpla building for so long.
Oh no, the backlog. And you bought more.
And then I bought more over the years, so I have to go and clear it. I don't have no choice, man. Like if you look at my room now, okay, it's not very messy. My wife likes to say it's very messy, but it is not, okay?
We just have different standards.
Yeah, we just have different standards, you know? I mean, it's stacked. It's literally stacked, right? With all the model kits, and somehow I just came back from Japan like a month ago. And
New haul!
I bought more! And yeah, and it's not gonna be the end of it. So that's why I'm going to try and pivot more to making more Gunpla content. Hopefully. So yeah, you can look out for me on all those platforms like TikTok, IG. But do still swing by like my Twitch channel once in a while, you know.
Say hello.
Yeah,
hello,
you never know when I'm going live. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope all the best for you for your content creation.
Thank you so much.
I do see a lot of successful Gunpla creators as well. I hope you
Yeah,
do it too.
Yeah. I think now that the economy has reopened up and then COVID is almost a thing of the past. Like all these things are coming back, into becoming a bit more trendy now. But I guess Gunpla has always been a bit more niche.
Yes.
In that sense, as I think we did that, TikTok together before, like, we are Gunpla builders. Of course, we are men over the age of 30. It's like a real thing. It's like, there's that period where nobody like really built
was
Gunpla
into
and stuff.
Gunpla.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then like, so all the Gunpla fans are usually like our age. Yeah, but I'm very grateful because I have some students themselves, they are building Gunpla. In fact, one of them I remember just got into it. So I was like, oh yeah, we can talk about it, and stuff like that. So I guess this new generation is also picking up on it.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Yeah.
They can get more model kids.
Exactly. Yeah, I can connect with them, right, on a different level. I think talking about students and this current generation, that's also one of the reasons why I'm pivoting my content in that direction as well. Is because everything now is like more of short form now, because attention spans are getting shorter, so it's kind of strategic in a sense. Yeah, so it's just more bang for your buck, I guess. More returns. See more returns when you go onto these platforms. In fact, my wife is telling me, hey, why not you try YouTube Shorts as well? So I don't know, maybe I'll try my hand at that too.
We'll look forward to it, man.
Yeah, if it does happen.
So I think you shared with us like your life story from like when you were a kid and it was a challenge growing up, getting bullied, and then getting through your fears, through the army, and then university. All this built you up and got you ready for work. Yeah. And then finally you realize, teaching is something that you're interested in as well. That's what got you to this point also. Yeah, so that's a very interesting story as a whole. I break it down very, very simply really, but there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I've left in between.
A lot of growth arcs.
That'll be saved for another day.
Yeah, we can create an entire 100 episode anime on this, all the growth arcs.
Well, I don't know if my life is actually that happening. I'm sure there are other people out there that life is a lot more happening than mine.
Yours? Everybody's unique.
Everybody's unique in their own way. Heck, we can do a podcast and then maybe I'll share more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so before we end here, I want to ask you 3 questions. First is, do you have any plans for your future?
Okay, so as far as my future goes, I can still foresee myself doing teaching because I still love this job. Even though I say 10% teaching, 90% paperwork, right? But I think every educator will tell you the same thing as well. But again, I just like to share and pass on my experiences and the knowledge I've accumulated to the next generation. That's one of the things that I really like to do. It's almost like sharing old grandfather stories, that sort of thing. Yeah, in that sense. So I like doing that, and also giving those students or those young people in the same situation that I was in, because I went through a lot. To show them that it is still possible. You can still succeed. Again, I was a guy that was assumed to be autistic. I was bullied. I didn't fare very well. I thought I failed. In life at one point when I wasn't able to make it in my education journey. But here I am, still teaching students and
imparting
other younger people, imparting knowledge in that. So I foresee myself continuing down this route. Whether full-time or part-time, I do not know. But at some point, I still would love to teach. And of course, content creation. Gunpla is still something I'm very passionate about. And just to give you guys a rough idea of when I started like getting into this Gundam thing is started during like my primary school when I watched Wing Gundam. That was like
Wing Gundam.
yeah, so that was kind of like, or they call it Gundam W, the series, right? Gundam W. So that was what drew me into the fandom, and I didn't really start building until like I saw Gundam Seed and they released the model kits and stuff. Yeah, that's when you had like a little bit more awareness to realize that, oh yeah, you know, you can actually build these things. And in primary school, you see the model kit like, I don't know how to build this, right?
It's a bit intimidating.
It can be a bit intimidating, yes. So yeah, that's kind of like I want to do like continue to do like content creation. Again, don't know whether full time or part time, but somewhere down the line, hopefully, you know, I can make a living out of it, lah. You know, doing or presenting content that I'm passionate about. You know, yeah.
I see you didn't flinch just now when the thunder struck.
When the time calls for it, yeah. I must maintain.
But I hope all the best for you for all your plans, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so the other question is there any other people you love to thank for this journey so far?
Like 金马奖
3 minutes.
I have to thank my mom, I like to thank my dad. Yeah, of course, no lah. I mean, really have to thank my parents, you know. I mean, along the way, I'm sure they would have thought to themselves like, or they would have been very worried about how, hey, this boy, how is he gonna end up? What's he gonna turn out like? You know? Yeah, but I'm glad that, you know, mom, dad, you trusted me enough to make my own path, right? To let go of the reins a little, right? Even though initially I may have worried you a bit, but thank you for continuing to believe in me, and I am who I am today mostly because of you guys, all right? Yeah, and of course my lovely wife, she is like she's like my chief advisor at home, because she has done teaching before, right? So now whatever like things I go through as an educator, she's like, don't worry lah, it's like that one, you know, you just do this, you know, just make sure you talk to the right people and stuff. And then when it comes to content creation, right, she also like, wow, she's like pro. She's a pro at it already at this point. Like she's been doing it for like since her uni lah, okay, according to her. But yeah, so shout outs to my lovely wife Denise, right? Thank you so much for being my, you know, my rock. I know it's very cliche to say that, but really okay, my rock. Yeah. Like, you know, I know sometimes I don't listen to your advice as well, and then, you know, I have to eat, you know, what's that? Eat humble pie, you know, because of that. But yeah, thank you for always being there for me and supporting me. Yeah. Who else? No, thank you guys for having me here.
Thank you for coming down.
I want to thank all my viewers, like all like 20 something of you, if you ever watch my Twitch stream. Sometimes more, sometimes less, I don't know. Thank you, my Twitch community, for being so supportive. Yeah, I don't stream as much anymore, but you know, thank you for still coming to my streams. If you ever like see me online and just chatting me up, you know. I know it's not easy, like streamers is one, being a streamer is one thing, you know, there are challenges, but you know, you must give credit to the viewers, because for making time, because they could be doing anything else, yeah, but they choose to stop by your stream
and talk to you,
you know, and vibe with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, shouts to the viewers and also my moderators, right? Tidal Forge, Mainstreams, Ageworks. I'm sorry if I forgot any of y'all. There's way too many of you to remember. Zig's View, time to time still come in. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And of course, just now all the Twitch streamers that sorry, I'm just like rattling off the top of my head.
Keep going.
Yeah, but yeah, Zeronite. I don't think I've mentioned this outright before, but Zeronite and Wolf's Bane, they're really the ones that really, yeah, helped me, inspired me, you know, to start this whole thing. Yep.
Okay, I have a last question. What would you like to say to your future self? You know, like maybe 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, you look back at this video, is there a message you would like to give to your future self?
I guess it would be the same thing I tell my younger self. It's gonna be alright. That's all. That's all. Because I think so far my life has been ever since having gone through all those things, right? I always at the end of the day, something or someone or some circumstance will come through. For me either it's because of the big guy up there, or or some circumstance in life. Nothing happens by chance. That's all I will say lah. Nothing happens by chance, and it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, okay? Whatever it is.
That's a nice message. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you, Samuel TohVahKiin, for joining us today. Appreciate. Please go check out our other videos. There's a lot of other interviews as well. Go check them.
Oh wait, should I put out like my
the socials?
Socials.
Yeah, please.
TohVahKiin on all platforms, very easy. IG, TikTok, Twitch, LinkedIn. No, LinkedIn is my actual name. LinkedIn. Sure, if you want to add me on there, that's cool. All right, but please let me know who you are before I add you. Okay, I don't know you student or viewer or what lah. All right, but everywhere else it's TohVahKiin. No.
Yeah, go check out. Maybe you can put the links in the about section below. All right, thank you. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye. The three questions.
Next that one drop.
Yeah, for shaking that gap for the wrestler. Do it. See, this is what happens when you talk to Gen Zs every day. Skibbity and
Skibbity,
I don't know what skibbity is. Oh my god.
Oh, sorry.